Our theme for this week has been the wisdom of Solomon, which was meant to include, of course, Paul Solomon, but also King Solomon. If you were wondering why we had a couple of speakers on King Solomon, that was the reason. And also the subtitle, and other stuff too, which was your idea, was my way of hoping we get some great speakers in here who felt inspired to speak of something other than directly on one of the Solomons. So that gives me the pleasure of introducing truly a professional speaker, Dr. Jerry Teplitz, who was originally an attorney and now has a PhD in holistic health sciences. He has spoken to more than 1 million people and has been inducted as a legend of the speaking profession by the Veteran Speakers Network. He is the author of 9 books and 2 bestsellers on Amazon, Switched On Selling and Switched On Networking. He's the vice president of the Fellowship Board of Directors and has served on the board for many years. Please help me welcome Dr. Jerry Teplitz.
So you're going to see something happening on the screen where the words get put up. They literally, PowerPoint just put it on there and doesn't let you shut it off easily. So it's kind of, I apologize, I would not normally have it there, but hello. So welcome to Do Unto Others as you would have them do unto you. May need an upgrade. So let me start by asking a question. How many of you have ever met somebody who you didn't like? Raise your hands. How many of you asked somebody to do something and you came back, they did it wrong or they didn't do it at all? Raise your hands. Yeah. That person may not be a bad person, but their way of operating in the world may be so different from yours, you became 2 ships that go passing in the night. This session is going to be about understanding do unto others as you have them do unto you really does need an upgrade. So let me ask a question. How many of you would say all people are motivated? All people are motivated. How many of you say yes to that? Raise your hands. Got about 4 or 5. How many say no? Raise your hands. Majority. How many don't know? Raise your hands. And how many aren't voting today? Okay. So the reality actually is all people are motivated. However, it may not be for what you want them to do. They do things for their reasons all the time, not for yours. In a work environment, do you ever have somebody who showed up late to work pretty consistently? The boss has finally had it and says, if you come in late one more time, you're out of here. And for the next 3 days, that person's on time. But on the 4th day, what do they go back doing? They're late again because their motivation is stronger to stay in bed sleeping than it was to get there on time. Another question, can you motivate others? Can you motivate others? How many would say yes to that? Raise your hands. Okay, majority. How many would say no? Raise your hands. And how many don't know? The reality actually is you cannot motivate somebody else. All you can do is provide an environment in which they're going to choose to motivate themselves. You can teach, but it doesn't mean they're going to do. It's called they're going to make the decision. So what about that person who showed up late to work pretty consistently? What if the boss was able to say to them, you know, we're going to give you a bonus at the end of the year, and one of the key parts of your bonus, the number of days you're on time, we're going to give you the bonus. And the ones that you're not, we won't. And if that person's motivation is money, what are they going to do? They'll show up on time because you, in effect, hit their hot button for themselves. And they said, great idea. I think I'll do that. I used this years ago when I was married to Marilyn and one of her sons, Aaron, when he was 18. He was going to work for me that summer. And one of the key parts of his job is he needed to be the very first one in the office every day. And this is a kid getting up in the morning, had by his nightstand an alarm clock and 2 clock radios when you had clock radios. And they would literally go off at the same exact moments, loudest volumes possible, so the whole house would actually vibrate. Aaron would not move a muscle for the next half hour or an hour. Marilyn, during that time period, go into his room a half a dozen times and go, Aaron, get up. Aaron doesn't move a muscle. She'd go in a little later and go, Aaron, get your buns out of bed. Still doesn't do anything. So here I'm hiring Aaron, and he has to be the very first one in the office every day. So when Marilyn got off the floor laughing hysterically, she said, good luck. Well, I decided I didn't want to play cop to Aaron. I was going to just be his employer. And so what I said to Aaron, the way we're going to pay you, for every morning you are late, we're going to deduct a half hour worth of pay. For every week you're on time, we're going to give you an extra 50 cents an hour per week. And that's when 50 cents meant more than it does today. And so summer goes by, Aaron was late one morning. And the only reason he was late, the electricity went off in the house in the middle of the night. It screwed everybody up. I did not dock him for that week. See, for an 18-year-old, what are they starting to do at that point? Dating. What do they need to go on dates? Money. So Marilyn thought changing her voice tone was effective. What I did is I changed the strategy to where he was living, and I got the outcome that I wanted that also assisted him. Now, in this process we're going to be going through in the time we have available, I want to have you look at your behavior style out there. How do you operate in the world? And so we're going to ask you two questions. And I want you to focus in on either work if you're still working or home life if you're no longer working, because you can be very different at home versus work. You've all heard of the mouse at home and the lion at work. That's somebody who just learned to be different in different environments. So in answering this, pick either work or home life to answer it. So this is the questions. 51% of the time, so it's literally 1/2 plus 1, would you view yourself as more active and outgoing or more reserved? More active and outgoing or more reserved? Now, how many of you would say yes to active and outgoing? Raise your hands. Okay, and how many would say yes to reserved? Raise your hands. Okay, great. So I've got a second set of questions for those who said yes to active and outgoing first. So if you answered yes to active and outgoing, are you more concerned with directing of others or relating with others? Are you more concerned with directing of others or relating with others? So those who did just raise your hand yes for active and outgoing, how many of you would now say directing of others? Raise your hands now. Okay, and how many would say relating with others? Raise your hands. You can be a mixture, but I said 51%. Okay, so the directing of others, you're going to be the letter D. The relating with others, you're going to be the letter I. Now, for those who raised their hand on the other question, if you answered yes to a more reserved, are you more concerned with accepting of others or assessing of others? Another word for assessing is judging of others. So those who did raise their hands to reserved, how many of you now raise your hands to accepting of others? Raise your hands now. And that's 3, okay? And you folks are going to be the letter S. And how many would say assessing or judging of others? Raise your hands now. You're going to be the letter C. So we have 4 letters here, D, I, S, and C. And so I want to actually move you around in the room a little bit now. And so I want you sitting with people who are similar to you. So how many of you, and I don't think anybody raised their hand as D, but has anybody raised their hand as a D? That's, no, it's the dominance style. So nobody? Okay. Eyes. So I can see the numbers, so I know where to put you. Raise your hands if you're eyes. So, yeah, the letter I. 4, 5. Okay. You, 6. Okay. Influencing of others. Okay. So eyes, when I have you move in a moment, you're going to sit in the first couple of rows here. S's. Raise your hand if you did raise your hand for an S. That's steadiness. Steadiness. You're going to be in the 3rd row where she's standing up. And the C's, conscientious, you're going to be in the last row where Annalie is standing up. So physically move and sit near, you can stay where you are. Sit where the people near you are. What? The S is third row back on this side. And the other one is this. Did you figure it out? It'll come to you as you go along, as I go along. Okay. So, what does these letters actually mean? So the D stands for dominance. Dominance. And there's nobody in this room who is that style, which is kind of interesting. The I stands for influencing of others or interacting with others. I's love to talk. So guess who some of the teachers are over there? The S stands for steadiness or cooperating with others. You like to work with and through other people. And the C stands for conscientiousness. They are concerned about quality control. They're your quality control people. They want to make sure it's done right. Now, so that's the styles. And now let's look a little bit further at this, because we all have this predominant style where you're sitting. But you can be all the styles if you need to. That's what this represents. The outside is your predominant style. The inside means you can be all these styles if you need to. For example, the D's don't like a lot of paperwork coming at them, but if they have somebody who they got to talk to who needs paperwork, they can adapt and be more of the conscientious style so long as they don't have to live there. Visiting is fine. Living there ain't good. Like, as an example, when I started my business as a professional speaker a long time ago, I had to do everything. And that included the books. And because I'm the I style, I hated doing the books. As a matter of fact, I'd kind of finally get around to doing once every 6 months. And I didn't have an adding machine that printed out the numbers and stuff, so I would just do tallying of columns, and the closest 3 out of 4 totals, that's the one I put down. Yeah. I got audited by the IRS once, and the guy was doing random tallying of columns. Thank God he picked the ones that really did add up. So guess who was the first employee I hired when I was making enough money? A bookkeeper. Because that was causing me so much stress, was so difficult, that I got somebody else to do it. So you have a handout that we'll go to in a second, because what we're talking about is a concept of behavioral flexibility. You have to be flexible when you're relating to others, especially people who are different from you. So let's give a little more fleshing out to this. So we have nobody who is a D style, but I want you to think of people who might match these, because this is how they need to be related to. So number one, they're impatient. They don't want to see a lot of stuff before they make a decision. Come here, highlights and bottom line. They have a high ego strength, and they're strong in self-confidence. They feel very strongly about themselves. They desire change, and they can make decisions on very few facts. And so with by the way, very few facts. If you're talking to them about something, give them a couple of highlights, bottom line, and they're satisfied. They can make the decision. Now, their fear is being taken advantage of. They don't like it when somebody goes around and complains about somebody else without coming to them directly. And they're motivated by needing direct answers. They just want, give me the answer. Give me what I need to know. So think of somebody in your life that matches 3 out of 5 of those characteristics. Can you think of people you've run across like that? Yeah, because those are real people out there that you're relating to, and you may be relating to them in a way that do unto others as they would have, as you would do, they do unto you. Well, that might not get you to the right place with the person. So let's look now at The influencing of others, where we have a bunch of you folks are influencing. You're more of the emotional style. And thank you, Sally, for sharing about that with emotion. That was pretty cool. They're people-oriented. They're persuasive. They often have great ideas, but they need somebody else to carry their ideas out to completion. They're great at starting things. They're not great at finishing things. They're disorganized. And before you get upset about that, if you have some secondary style as the S, which I'm going to get to, or the D, then you can organize so you can look good for people. Like if somebody's coming into somebody's office and they're an I, they'll work in the pile system. And if they don't want people to see that, they'll just shove it all into a corner. Their fear is loss of social approval. They want to be liked, because it's important for them to have relationships with others. And for them, they're motivated by optimism, and they'll make a decision just on whether it sounds good. If you tell them the title of a project, they may actually say, that's a great idea, I think I'll do it. Yeah. Just from the title. So think of some people you have related with that match that kind of stuff. Let's look at the steadiness style. And they're loyal, they're team people, they're good listeners, and they are patient. They'll be involved with the same group, the same organization for years and years because they're very loyal kinds of folks. They're also family-oriented. They love being with families, relating with families, showing pictures of families. They're also possessive. It's my desk, it's my staples, it's my chair, it's my cooking stuff. They're very possessive. Now, their fear is loss of security. For example, if they were married to the D that I talked about earlier, making quick decisions and all that, and if that D came home in a marriage situation to an S and said, hey, I got good news for you. I'm quitting my salary job. I got this thing, this multi-level thing I'm going to do. Great stuff. We're going to be rich. Watch the S-wife freak out. Because what's being hit is that fear for them. And they're motivated by changing slowly. And they base their decisions on their trust in you. So you need to develop a sense of trust with them and go slower with them. So think of somebody in your life that matches that. And let's look at the conscientiousness style. They're perfectionists. They are the ones who know manuals and can quote them verbatim. They know the constitutions if they're on a board. And they're sensitive and the most intuitive. If they get a flash about something, they're probably accurate. They may not say it, but if you can get them to say it, you can actually use that effectively. And they base their decisions on information on pros and cons. They will ask lots of questions before they will make a decision. Their fear is criticism of the job. They don't care if you criticize their personality, but they get upset if you're criticizing the job that they're doing. And they're motivated by receiving many explanations. You got to talk to them and give them all the information and details and give them time to think about it before they'll make a decision. So does anybody come to mind with those kinds of characteristics for you? So what happens when you relate to somebody who's not you and not your style? But you relate to them as you like to be related to. So if they want lots of details and you're not a detail person, and so you don't give them the details, guess what? They walk away frustrated. You did not feed them what they needed to hear. You fed them what you like to hear. And that doesn't create a winning situation for you because they're not you. If their style is similar to you, then fine. Then you can play in your normal way. If your style is different from them, if you play in your normal way, you're creating the potential for chaos. I think wars start because we expect people to be like us, and we don't value them for who they are, for their traditions, for the way they operate in the world. It's called, you gotta be like me. And I think the golden rule gave permission to people to say that you gotta do it my way because that's what it said. Now, we all have a style that's the most opposite from us. That's the one you actually have the most difficulty relating with. And for the Ds, your difficulty is the S style. For the S's, your difficulty is the D style. For the I, it's the C, and the C, the I. So let me kind of explain the I-C combination there, because I'm actually the I style. So C's are asking all these questions, driving the I crazy. But if the I can take the time to answer the questions, at some point, they'll be done. And guess what? They'll then do what you're looking to do. Yeah, so the D stands, if you look on the sheet that I gave you, the D stands for dominance. You didn't get the handout, that's why. The D stands for dominance. The I is influencing of others. The S is steadiness, and the C is conscientious. And I'll be glad to talk to you afterwards if you have confusion on it. Now,
I'm writing, but it's too fast for...
I only have a half hour, so I can't, you can watch, you'll be able to watch, it'll be...
I've got it, but
It'll be on video. It'll be on video, so you can watch it on video. That's fine.
slowest person in...
That's fine. Okay, now, so you can overcome these difficulties. So, for example, if you look at the I, which one do I want to do? The IC combination. Down here. What you're looking at here is on human relations, they're okay, they're good. But on work tasks, they're poor because of that example I was giving where they got to have their questions answered. Now you can overcome this kind of a difficulty through three things. One is if they trust each other, then they can overcome what would appear from that other graph difficulty. Mutual respect, they respect each other, can overcome that. Or the third piece is adaptability. One person is adapting their style to the other, and then you can get the outcomes that you're looking for. So let me give you an example. So I was on the board of directors of an organization. The woman next to me was taking notes on what she needed to do. That is literally, she tore off the back of a manila envelope, and that's what her notes look like. She was an I style, by the way, and influencing of others. This is what she turned them into, because you can be the other styles if you need to. But she had one sentence in here that was purely her style, and that sentence was, she typed it all in capital letters, said, I still need someone to help set up the details of this faculty training. It's called, I got it to paper. If you expect me to go any further, you're crazy. I need help. So when you know somebody else's style and you know it's an I and they've got to like do all the figuring, say, of a gathering, you know you better give them help because it can be overwhelming for them to get caught in the details. They can do the big planning, the big picture, but when they get to the details, it's called, if other people don't step in, they are going to have difficulty pulling it off. So I was going out of town, and Elizabeth's name used to be Sherry. She's Sherry Elizabeth. She swapped them both, Elizabeth Sherry. And I had asked her to give this, that she needed to give this to Sherry So Dot was going to give it, and she wrote this on the front of the envelope. Jerry asked me to give this to you and have you hold on to it until he gets back. Dot. Can you tell what style she is? Not really, but this was the back of the same envelope. It said, Jerry, hold on to this for Jerry until he gets back, Dot. So this is somebody who put it both sides, that if the mail went flying in the air, however it landed, she would know, Sherry would know that it was important to hold on to. What style was Dot? She was an S style, conscientious, because I said it was important that she see this, and she did it both sides to make it happen. So when you react to others, you may start out by judging them. It's somebody new, you don't understand them. And then as you get to know somebody, you start to understand them and how they relate and how they operate, which can lead to respecting somebody, because those differences are important. If you're not a detailed person, you need detailed persons in your life. If you're a detailed person and you don't like to communicate that much, you need the other side in there, because you need people to get the idea out to folks. So it's the respecting and understanding, and then appreciating somebody, especially somebody who's different from you, because you can get to the point where you really value who they are and how they operate, even though they're not you. So there's a rule about others. Different is not wrong. Different is just different. And it's in the diversity, which I know lately has become a strange term, but it's a true term. It's in the diversity that we really create and build things in our world. And so I want to end today with a poem. Well, actually with this. Instead of the golden rule, let's call it the platinum rule. The platinum rule is, do unto others as they would like to be done unto. Do unto others as they would like to be done unto. Because what you then get are people who are saying, you know me, you understand me, and you can create worlds and worlds and worlds from people doing unto others as they would like to be unto. Thank you.